Hi, everybody. Thank you, Karen, for joining us from Boston to talk the Boston real estate market. And we have Aaron from Seattle, Washington. So, super excited to have you guys.
Thank
Welcome.
you so
Yeah,
much.
so nice
Yeah,
to see everyone.
absolutely. So, we are here just to talk about the real estate market and different trends that we are seeing across the United States. So, we'll start just with you, Karen, if you just want to give us an overall of what you're seeing now in the real estate market.
Yeah, sure. So we've had a very busy 2022. Didn't think it could get any busier than the last 2 years. But it always surprises me at just how many people still want to buy and sell. We have seen a little bit of a taper over the summer months going into fall. And, a lot of folks want to say it's because of the interest rates. And while that might have hindered a few people, I think overall it was the first post pandemic, if you will, summer that we've had where families could get away. They could enjoy time with their friends, with their family members. Maybe there's been family across the country they couldn't see. And I think people took a pause. They were tired. They were tired of the bidding wars. They were tired of the lack of contingencies. And they're like, you know what? We're going to have some family time now. And I think that's primarily what put a little bit of a slowdown to the market because we're already seeing people are back. People are anxious, to get settled, and hopefully we'll get them to the finish line.
That's right. What about you, Aaron? What do you think?
Yeah, a lot of similar dynamics here in the Seattle area too. It's interesting though because it while it feels like anecdotally like things have cooled down a little bit, the numbers really don't bear that out. And I'm not sure what it's like in your market, but that's how it's been here. And I mean, we like active listings were up like 98% year over year, and pending sales are down, almost 40% year over year. But we still only have 2 months of inventory, right? And so, for those out there that don't know, we want to see between 3 and 6 months, 4 and 6 months as a balanced market. So it's still really imbalanced toward the seller. But that said, there's a lot more opportunity for buyers now. And like Karen said, like buyers just were getting fatigued with all the bidding wars and all that. And so that's really cooled down. So things they're moving along. We still have a lot of people moving to the Seattle area, and there's not enough housing. We're also kind of constrained by a lot of dynamics like growth management and these urban building areas where you can't build outside of, plus just our geography with the mountains and water. So it really kind of makes a natural constraint to supply.
Yeah, but I think overall, and I think I've been hearing both of you say, like, to me, it's like basic economics, right? Like our supply still low, the demand is still high. So here, I think we're seeing it has cooled off. I think is the word Karen used, but we are homes are still getting under contract in 20 days here, not in 20 seconds like they were 6 months ago, but in 20 days. Which when I first got into real estate, the average days on the market, when I went into a listing appointment, I would tell people between 9 and 12 months it would take. Now that was back in 2007, whereas now I tell people, 30 to 45 days we'll have it sold. So with the raise in interest rates, where have you seen, what are the general public saying about that to you guys?
Well, I think that a lot of people got used to what we call round two negotiation, meaning, or not round two, but basically the second week of something being on the market being a chance to compete against less offers. Not saying they'd be the only ones making an offer, but they would have less competition. We're seeing that now, but it depends on the pockets. Like our multifamily market is incredibly busy. We're still seeing upwards of double digits for number of offers, going well over asking price. The same things in some sweet spots, which might be in the 500s range, which is a first-time homebuyer range here in the greater Boston market, outside a bit in the burbs. We're still seeing that 9 to 12 offers on a property. But then all those folks that are seeing if property survived the first weekend, which was always the norm, everything sold first weekend on market with an offer deadline. Now we're seeing multiple offers the second weekend on the market, which is a little bit different. So those folks that are trying to get that home inspection come in under asking, they're still having to pay full price. Very rarely are we seeing under asking unless it's just where there is an abundance of inventory in a certain price range.
Right. I see. I'm agreeing with you. What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, that's interesting. We're not seeing more. Yeah, like in your markets, we would list on Thursday, review offers on Tuesday, and like clockwork, we're going to get 10, 12, sometimes 30 or 40 or 50 offers. I was involved with.
Wow. Holy cow.
That's not happening anymore. I haven't seen a lot, like you're saying, Karen, where it's the second, like people are waiting that first weekend, and then the second weekend there's a lot of activity. What we're seeing is things that, especially those things that are turnkey and priced right. That's a huge thing that I'm sure we've all dealt with in our market, the way people have been pricing these homes coming into this shift. But things will still sell pretty quickly. We could still sell something in one weekend. We've had a few listings lately that have sold in 3-4 days. Where we've seen the biggest impact, I would say in terms of the interest rates is, that first time buyer level in the condo market for sure. Our condo market was starting to heat up here, and then the wind quickly left the sales after the rates started going up, because it's going to have a much bigger impact on those first time buyers, right? So,
Right.
But,
Yeah, I've seen that too. But I also have seen an influx here. We would have cash buyers, usually coming from your markets, moving down here. But not a whole lot. You might have 10 a year or something. And lately it's been about 50% of my sales are cash buyers, where their investors are telling them to take it out of the stock market and put it into the housing market. So we're seeing that. Still harder, I agree with you, with the first time home buyers, but I also think that lenders are getting creative with some more options to try to help level out that for the first time home buyer. What about, your sales? So Aaron, your sales are down across your area.
Our sales are down. Yeah, our pending sales last month were down about 38.5% versus last year.
Yeah.
So active inventory up and pending sales down.
Our sales are down, but our inventory is still down. So if you look at like our new listings, we had 1,004 new listings, and 928 of them are under contract. So
oh wow.
Our inventory is 1.2 months.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's still, so we are usually, I have found, we're just 6 to 8 months slower than you guys.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully, you keep it on your side. I'm teasing that. I'll say, but you don't really do see that. What else are you seeing, Karen? As far as your days on market, you said are slightly longer, but not much, which is
no, we're still under 20 days, and that's basically from list to days to offer. And that does encompass maybe a coming soon or deferred showings or an offer deadline, things like that, because until the deposit's received, it doesn't change to contingent or under agreement. Going back to days, number of inventory, we're at right now about 1.3 on average months of inventory. That's down, but it also depends on the day you pull those numbers too, because obviously if we have deadlines on Monday or Tuesday, your inventory is going to be a little bit higher, and then it can change on a dime the next day because everything went under agreement. So we are seeing a little bit of an influx there, and our pendings are down as well, but that's relative to the number of homes that we have on the market for sale. Those are down as well. We are starting to see them drip on a little bit more, but as soon as they do, they're pretty much gone.
Yeah. And then what about list price versus sales price? Are you seeing any difference there?
We're almost right on the money. We are at 104.44%. So that's 4% above list. And last year was like 1.41 in the market areas that I'm servicing. So we're like really right on the money. But with that said, looking at the median sales prices for our personal team, we're up $126,000 per transaction for our median sales prices. Wow. So that's quite a substantial jump. And we're about 10 transactions ahead right now, year to date, as we were at the end of last year.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about you,
Yeah.
Aaron?
That's great. Well, our so we're not getting over our average is about 99% right now.
Awesome, too.
Yeah, so that's really interesting because it hasn't been that way for quite some time. But just jump back to the inventory because I read something really interesting to kind of put it in perspective in our market anyway, is that we're still inventory while it's up over last year, we're still 19% lower than we were pre-pandemic. So
Yeah.
September of 2019. So there's still, I mean, even though things are shifting a little bit, there's, like you said, Jennifer, it's supply and demand. There's
Yeah.
people moving here and there's not enough houses. So
Hey, Brenda. Yeah, I agree. And I think it's interesting because our market has shifted a little bit, but 6 months ago, the way the market was horrible. I don't care whether you're a buyer, a seller, a real estate agent. It was, I mean, you couldn't type it out fast enough. Sellers couldn't, they get 50 offers and they couldn't compute which offer should they take and which was better. And it was crazy. And now it's still, I've been in the industry 17 years and it's still better than it was 3 years ago. It's not like it was 6 months ago, and
right.
I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, 6 months ago was intense. It was extremely stressful for everyone involved because you really want to do what's in the best interest of your client, whether it's a buyer or a seller. But the volume was unlike anything I've seen in 34 years. It was just over the rails.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think the market is still, I mean, it's like I said, it's better than it was 2 years ago. It's better than it was prior to that. And I think now we can actually negotiate a little bit. So our list price to sales price is like yours, Aaron. Ours was more like Karen's and it has shifted. Now it's like 99.8%.
Right.
So it's almost list price. And I can't remember which one of you said it. I mean, if it's priced right, it's in good condition. It's still going above list price.
I don't know. I like this shift in the market. Like you, Jennifer, I've been at it for 17 years. So I've been through the ups and downs, and Karen, you've seen even more. This is a balanced market is just more enjoyable to be in for buyers. And I think for sellers to some extent, and for us, and just being able to negotiate things like, or doing your own inspection, or having contingencies, not having non-refundable earnest money. I mean, these ridiculous things that we were doing for so long. I don't know how it's been in your markets. We've been in a seller's market for a decade now. I mean, it's been since 2012. So it hasn't been as crazy as it was during the pandemic, but we've been doing multiple offers and all this stuff for a really long time. And so this is kind of a nice.
So it's relatively new. I mean, I would say it has been a seller's market, but the multiple offers really within the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
But prior to that, we occasionally would have it, but it was definitely not the norm for me. What about with you, Karen?
It depends on where. So if you're talking Boston proper to a little bit of the outskirts, meaning Brookline, Chestnut Hill, Jamaica Plain, especially, it's kind of like a little circle around our medical hub called Longwood, where we have multiple hospitals. I mean, Massachusetts has 30,000 physicians. This is my niche market. And the affordability factor was always in those surrounding towns to Boston proper. And we've seen that start to deviate further and further and further, where people are now going as much as 45 minutes outside to be able to afford, to purchase. Because in those particular areas, the closest to Longwood, we're talking condominiums more than we are single family. And the single family back in that spring market that Aaron was just mentioning was people coming in with zero contingencies, not even a mortgage, even if they were getting a mortgage. So it was pretty intense. But that demand is still there because we are so transient in the Boston market, because between the medical community, the bio life sciences, we have lots of pharmaceutical. Those are just interchanging people all the time. Dana-Farber, for example, is a hospital that hires 2,000 people a year. And that's anywhere from short-term 2 weeks to 2 years or more. And they bring in a lot of international PhDs as well. So we get that traffic. So we have a high rental market and we have a high sales market in those areas because of the demand.
That's awesome. Well, I was reading that they were saying they did a mass poll. It's like the USB report they did 2 weeks ago that said 44% of Americans are looking to buy within the next 12 months. So I think that was the highest. They've been doing this poll since the survey since 2014, and it was the highest since 2014, which I think is a huge indication. I mean, I think that, interest rates, yes, they are high, but they're not a historical high. They're high in a very short period of time that we've been focusing on, the past, 7 years is when it's gone this crazy low. But if you look historically, my very first house was at 11% interest in the early 90s. And I thought that was super low.
Right.
It was 13 and a half when I started in this career.
How much?
13 and a half.
Yeah, I remember my dad buying a house at 18%. I think it's crazy, but I mean, I think relatively, it's what Americans are used to. If you look at a 50-year span, more than just such a short period of span. And I also think that I've been telling everybody, if you are thinking about buying or selling in the next 12 months, go ahead, meet with your real estate professional in your local marketplace, interview them, let them know what your plans are, and let them help you stage yourself so that when you're ready to pull the trigger, you are truly ready to pull the trigger, right? So if you know you want to buy in the next 3 or 4 months, I would go ahead and have you call our lender. Go ahead and start that process. So if there is a little dip in the interest rates, you can jump in on it. Or if you're looking to sell, let's go ahead and meet. Let's talk about everything that needs to be done to your house to get you the most money so that when you're ready to pull the trigger, everything's already ready to pull the trigger.
Yeah, it's great advice.
I heard those same statistics of the 44% of the folks that are looking to buy in the next year. And I think a lot of those people are investors. I don't think they're all home buying for themselves for primary residence. I think a lot of people are very concerned with where the stock market's going to go. As Brittany Pino said, 4 out of the last 6 recessions did not have any effect on the real estate market in a negative way. And folks are looking at their retirement starting to dwindle a little, and they're like, well, at least with real estate, it's always worth something, and you're going to hope for appreciation if you follow the sales trends. I've always said, you buy real estate on its way up, because when you're buying it on its way down, you never know when you hit rock bottom until it starts turning back up again.
Yeah.
So I think it's all relative, and I think it's about leverage. And I think a lot of savvy investors are starting to say, you know what? I need to diversify my portfolio, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm getting a ton of past clients that are starting to call me now looking for investment property, whether it's single family, condo, or multifamily. Whatever they find is relative to their pocketbook and what they're looking for in their ROI.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we don't have a lot of multifamily residents here, and everybody on the West Coast. I mean, I probably have 15 calls a day of them wanting multifamily residents. And it's just, we have a couple, but I think it's very common over there. It's not really common here, but I think we're going to start seeing those investors start building them, which obviously we need more of.
Do you not have a lot of rental property there? I mean,
we have a lot of rental property, but mostly it's at the beaches or at the college.
Got it. Okay.
So, but for a lot of these multifamily, they truly are looking to move their parents in, or their siblings in, or their, children in. And we just don't have, when I look it up, occasionally I can find a 2 or 3 complex, but it's hard to find.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Our job market's not great here. So COVID actually really opened it up to where a lot of people moving in now are the younger, growing families, whereas before it was mostly retirees moving in here because we just don't have a lot of jobs here.
Mm.
It's beautiful. We've got surrounding beaches everywhere you go. There's a beach,
right.
And the college is one of the best in the state. But as far as jobs, we just don't have a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would assume you're high tech for your area.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, Microsoft's been here for a long time, but since Yeah, since 2013 or whenever Amazon started here, obviously, but they built a huge campus downtown and revitalized a section of the city, and then that brought in Facebook and Google and all these other. We've always had a fair amount of biotech, and we have a big university here, but tech is where it's at, and aerospace, obviously.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
So I honestly did not know that's where Amazon started.
now you know. See,
Now I know trivia today. I learned. That's
You're
awesome.
It
getting
makes
the
me-
distribution centers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
it's
right.
hard to get so here too.
But it makes me feel good when I go on Amazon because I'm just supporting my local economy, right? It's kind of like going to Starbucks around here.
Anyway, so to sum it up real quickly, what would you say to sum up real estate market, whether you're talking to a buyer or seller? What do you tell them right now?
Well, I mean, when I'm talking to a seller, I mean, it's all so dependent on what their individual goals are,
Yeah.
right? And, like Karen alluded to, I mean, timing the market it's kind of a fool's errand. So if you have a job if you're in Seattle and you have a job starting in Boston next month, then it's probably a good time to sell. Of course, I personally have talking about investment property. I've talked a lot of clients into holding on to their homes, their departure residence as an investment. That's kind of a niche that I have with my team doing property management. But no, it's the individual. I think that for our market anyway, going into winter, it's typically not the best time. So if their time frame, if they don't have someplace they need to be and they can wait, depending on what type of home it is, they may be better off financially waiting, but not always. Buyers, yeah, I mean, you just gotta jump in there now. Our rents here are very high, and it doesn't necessarily make sense to wait for interest rates. Besides, and you've probably seen this too, there's a lot of creative stuff going on right now. We were starting to see these 2-1 buy downs and 3-2-1 buy downs and seller concessions and all those things. So there hasn't been as good a time to jump in the market as there has been in many years. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm telling folks.
We're starting to talk about the buy downs, but we haven't seen seller concessions yet. Not really. What about you, Karen?
I'm very happy to see that we have more opportunity now for VA and FHA. I feel like those buyers got sidelined, unfortunately, regardless of their qualifications. I know that they went to the bottom of the pack many times. So it's been terrific to get those through. I just got a VA buyer through from a nice RE/MAX referral, and they were thrilled. And I think our reputation as brokers is equally as important to getting to that finish line, because our reputation can make or break your offer in a bidding war. So I think that's something else that a buyer really needs to take strong consideration to. But in regards to whether it's a good time to buy or sell, I think it's good for both. I think it's better for buyers right now because there is less competition. It's all in perception. As far as the interest rate, I've always told my buyers, if that rate goes up 1%, you've lost 10% of your purchase price for the same effective payment. So if you were having to overpay, for lack of a better term, or if you were to have bid over listing price and sales are appreciating at the same time, you could be losing as much as 15 to 20% out of pocket to be able to win the bid. Now, if the rate went up 1%, because there are still those adjustable rates at 5.1 and 7.1 that are substantially lower, then now you're actually saving money. Because now you're not bidding 10, 15, 20% over to win the bid. And you can always recast or refinance later. And when you work with a real estate agent that has really good business partners, such as your lenders, then you're going to know their products because they're going to be communicating with you as well. I mean, the jumbo rate right now with our portfolio lenders is 4.5%. So I've had buyers actually be able to go higher and get more value in a home and lower their monthly payment, which was terrific. So I think that we as professionals also have to understand the numbers, and we have to understand the financing, because people are buying those numbers as much as they're buying a home.
Oh, absolutely. I would agree. I think that was very good, Karen. I agree with you 100%. What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. And it's funny, and that I think that's what's helped us here too, because of our price points. Those jumbo rates are pretty favorable, and so that's really helped us along too. But yeah, I mean, it's really just, it comes down to it being dependent on what these individual clients' goals are, whether they're buyers or sellers. It really depends on what they're looking to do.
I agree.
Not a one size fits all thing, right?
No, 100% agree. But I think Karen hit the nail on the head also with the agent is super important, because I know I've gone in and represented a buyer and it's been multiple offer situation, and a large portion of the time they're going to take mine based off of my reputation, the length of the business, how I treat other agents, just that overall persona of how I operate my business. But you two are exactly the same. I think it's so important to get in with an agent that does have a good reputation, that has history behind them of great sales and great work practice, and putting their clients' needs first, which is what Aaron just said. Everybody's is different and their needs are different. So I think that's a good, you think you're exactly right. And look, there's Robert Little now. Hey, Bob. Karen was just talking about you, saying that she was going to go visit you, Bob, and when we're at Teams. So excited. But I think that is good. Do y'all have anything else you want to say before we say bye?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to see you and chat with you.
Always good.
It's been great.
Yeah. And Jennifer, thank you for taking care of so many of our referrals, my friends, my clients, my colleagues. You've really been there for everyone. Thank you so much.
Well, I have appreciated all of them, Karen. Your whole office.
Yeah.
You sent us like 4 or 5 last year. So thank you. I am super appreciative.
I got some work to do, Karen.
Yes, Aaron, you've got big shoes to fill over there.
Once I know you,
that's right. She is wonderful. Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time, and I always love talking to y'all. And I'm gonna call y'all later, probably tomorrow, because I promised my daughter I'm gonna go work out with her right now. But tomorrow I'm gonna give y'all a call, because I've got a couple of things I want to talk to y'all about. Okay. So awesome.
You. So nice to see everyone.
All right. Thanks.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.